CC, CEO, wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder that could teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black-owned firm, but we ain't all black.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Constance Carter. It's Friday. How many people happy it's Friday? How many of y'all are happy it is Friday today? I know I'm happy it's Friday, but you know, in the life of an entrepreneur, you really don't, there's no days off. But I know some folks out there is happy that it's Friday. Welcome, as always, to the Grow Your Money Club, where we talk about how to grow your money and not blow your money. Because if you blow your money, it ain't a damn thing. What? Funny. So come on in, my friends. Listen, I got a treat for you. I really have a treat for you today. I'm really excited. But you know, as always, for the people who are here, I see you, lovely JR. You say yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Miss Sophia, all the way from Stockton, California. What's crack-a-lackin'? Lovely JR, B1, yes, sir, yes, sir. What's up, Tamara? You know, listen, if this is your first time watching, please put in the comments, this is your first time. Please let everybody know if this is your first time. And then for those of you who are faithful on here, you know, my Facebook still is doing something kind of weird. So this goes out on like 8 different platforms, right? And recently on my personal Facebook page, it doesn't go out, it doesn't push out like with everything else. I got to like make it public later. So I don't know, it's doing something weird. Something's going on, something's quirky. Anyway, you guys know what it is. Put where you're watching from, because I know that we have people that watch from all over the world, whether you're in, you know, Chicago or California or DC or China, or if you're watching from Brazil, if you're watching from the UK, Canada. I know we have people that watch from all over the world. So put in the comments where you're watching from, because you know I like to shout you out. I love for you to talk back to me and talk black to me, please. This is a dialogue and not a monologue, so you know I love for you to talk back to me. The other thing is, if you are a Black-owned business, you know that we got to support our own businesses. It is extremely important. It's imperative, because the only way that we're going to be able to close the wealth gap is if we support one another. So if you have a Black-owned business, please put in the comments. Not only put in the comments, you know what it is. Put in the comments and then put how they can contact you, because I don't want to just, you know, shout you out that, oh, yay, we got a Black-owned business. We got to keep you in business. And so we want to make sure that we do business with you. I don't know if you know, only 3% of companies or businesses in Black communities are owned by Black people. So when you come to our communities, you see mostly other people. Like you'll see Arabs and Indians and Asians and white and Hispanics. But when you go to those communities, you will not see any of us. And so it's critical that we start building businesses in our communities and we start supporting us. Do like the people do in other communities. They don't go outside their community until they have exhausted every effort to do business with each other before they go anywhere else. And so we need to do the same. What's up, GM Macbeth from GMB Heath from Compton, California? Who is that? Illy from Houston? Where else y'all from? Put it in chat. And then also, please make sure that you are sharing this with your friends, with your family, because I have a nice treat for you guys. Let me see. You know what? There's one of my channels that's not connected. Hold on one second. One of my channels ain't connected. Boom. Because I know they love to watch it over at Dr. Boy's Black Excellence channel too. So we're, like I said, we're on 8 different platforms right now. And if you don't follow me, make sure you follow me, and I am Constance Carter. Now listen, I wanted to have a conversation with you because there is a stigma about that I don't think we talk about enough in our community, especially when it comes to our men. Black men are taught to be strong. They suppress, they survive. But what happens when the weight gets too heavy to carry? What happens when a man is silently drowning with no safe space to cry, to breathe, to break down? I'm talking about Black men, okay? So if you have a Black man that you love, go get him, tell them to watch today, because I'm going to talk to a gentleman that went from suicidal, sleeping, being homeless, to building viral $1 million brands. And let me just give you a little bit of background about him. His name is Donovan Woodberry, aka Dark Skin Gatsby. He is a resilient individual who hails from South Carolina, where he was born and raised. Despite facing significant challenges early in life, Donovan persevered and demonstrated remarkable determination. At the age of 22, he found himself homeless, but his unwavering spirit led him back on the path to success. At 23, he re enrolled in school, pursuing his passion for the law by studying pre law at the prestigious University of Louisville. Actually, you're supposed to say Louisville. You're not supposed to say Louisville. You say Louisville. Anyway, I want to bring my friend Donovan Woodberry. Everybody, give it up. Everybody say hey to Donovan. Everybody say hey, Donovan. Let me tell you guys. So I met I don't know if you remember. Do you remember where we met, Donovan?
Was it a Dumb 2S event?
Which one?
Was it a Dumb 2S event?
I don't know. It was New Year's Eve.
Oh, no. What was that one?
See, we met New Year's Eve 23. And what I didn't know is I was already following you. I was already following your brands, and I didn't even know. We met
at the Red Grant. Was that one?
The one it was 23. It was New Year's Eve event in DC.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
One? It was all the reality people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over there in the VIP. Yeah. And so then I was like, let me go, because you and I met, I think we danced together or something. And then I looked up your social media. I was like, I'm already following this brother. Already. I didn't even know. And so then what I didn't know at the time that I met him was that he was the creator of a conference called Melanin Con that I had wanted to speak at. And I had no idea at the time. And then he had all these other brands that I did not know that was him. And so I had an opportunity to speak at Melanin Con a couple of months ago, and it was a fantastic event. I actually shared it with my audience. I came on after Dr. Jamal Bryant, and he was wonderful. And he had some heavy hitters there. It was a spectacular event. And then I invited him over to my mixer a couple of weeks ago, and he shared his story, which I didn't really know about his story. And so everybody was blown away, especially the men in the audience. And so with that, I said, you know what, I got to bring him on here because I think this is an important topic to talk about, and especially when we're talking about Black men and mental health. So thank you for coming on here. So Donovan, can you give us a little bit of background about you? Everybody saying what's up to Donovan. Karen from the Bronx said what's up. Everybody is welcoming you. So it's a few hundred people on here. So, they want to welcome you. So Donovan, tell us a little bit about your background.
Professionally or just in general?
In general.
Like you said, I'm from South Carolina, born and raised. Was bouncing around schools for a little bit. I went to Coastal for a little bit, flunked out of Coastal, and ended up doing Job Corps in between Coastal and Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
When I was born, the doctor said I'd never walk. I was born club-footed, so they had to break my feet and then rebuild them up. Back now it's outpatient surgery, but back then they told my parents I'd never walk. So I was in casts up to my thighs until I was like 3 or 4. And my mom said I came alongside the walls walking. And from there, I was put in the Forrest Gump shoes with the metal bike, all that. And then I've been walking and running ever since. My dad died when I was 4. My mom died when I was 15. So I kind of been hustling.
So your dad died when you were 4. Mm-hmm. Your mom died when you were 15.
Yes,
and so
ma'am.
Who did you live with?
I bounced between my aunt and my grandma in that time frame. I was finishing up my freshman year of high school, so I didn't really have that long. And then when I graduated high school, I just bounced.
So when your mom passed away, she was the only person that you had at that point?
Yeah.
And was she sick? Was it expected or was it?
Nah, it was. She was on the phone talking on the porch. She had a massive heart attack.
Oh wow!
That was just boom.
So how did you react to that? How was that for you when your mom?
I don't really think I processed it until probably like a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't go to her funeral. I didn't even know where she was buried. I got COVID. I got COVID real bad What was this 20, 21, 22? I got COVID real bad. So part of my deal with God, I was like, I'm about to go home and forgive everybody, my family, and I'm gonna go see where my mom was buried because I don't go home. So I went and found where she was buried.
Well, why didn't you go to her funeral?
Because the last time I remember her was she was sitting at the table laughing. I didn't want that to be my last memory.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. And so you had some conflict within your family.
Yeah, I guess like in a conflict like any other family, but for me, I just was like I ain't really for it. So once I bounced, I bounced.
So what was your so how old were you when you ended up homeless?
22.
What how'd you become homeless?
I was staying with my sister, and then we kind of had a little falling out, and I just ended up by myself with nowhere else to go.
Where was this? This was in South Carolina?
Florida.
This was in Florida.
Mm,
And you were on the streets.
yeah, working at McDonald's
Where did you sleep?
outside. And but every 2 weeks or so, I get a hotel room.
Wow. And were you in school at the time?
No,
Okay. So
I
you
was
had,
already out of school. I did Job Corps already though, so
how old?
I had a little resume built up that I used to pass my resume out in the back window of that McDonald's in the morning, and that's how I got connected with 3 interviews in Kentucky.
So you were born in Kentucky,
No, I was born in South Carolina.
South Carolina, and
Yeah,
then you went to Florida, and then you
hmm
ended up going to college in Louisville. Louisville.
yeah. hmm
So you ended up in Louisville. How?
Like I said, I was passing my resume out in the back window of that McDonald's, and eventually, this guy got me 3 interviews in Kentucky, Louisville. Saved up and flew out for the interviews. And the third interview, I got hired on the spot at the Marriott. And they saved the job. I went back to Florida. I worked for like a month, and they saved that job for like that whole month. They saved the job. So then I picked up and moved there, and they let me stay in the hotel for like a month and a half until I got on my feet to get my own apartment. So then over that summer, I was riding by a Louisville sign. I was like, what do I got to do to get back in school? Turns out all I had to do was sign up. So that's how I got back in school in Louisville.
So what? Okay. So when you were homeless for how long?
Maybe like 11 months.
Wow. So you were on the streets for 11 months.
Yeah,
So how did you just happen to be working at McDonald's? You're passing out your resume in the back window of
yeah.
McDonald's.
So like I worked in the
What made you
morning,
think to
so
do that?
shooting my shot. So even before that, what people don't know is school websites, college websites have everybody emailed down to the janitors on the website. So what I did was I emailed my resume to every single person on staff. Some
Wow.
people responded, some people didn't. So then my next course of action was just it was people I talked to every day, because the same people come get a coffee every day. So it was just as easy as just printing them out, handing them out.
Man, that's motivation. What made you even think to shoot
I
your
don't
shot?
know. I was desperate, so it was just like I got to figure this out.
So you went to Louisville, you graduated from college.
hmm
Anybody show up at your graduation?
No,
It was just you.
yeah, my
Okay.
line brothers,
Okay. You are a member of
Kappa Alpha Psi.
Fraternity Incorporated. All right.
Mhm.
And so your line brothers was at your graduation, and then how did you end up in DC?
I wanted to move to DC. Well, I Louisville is predominantly white, so I wanted to be around black folks again. So it was between DC, Charlotte, Atlanta, and Dallas, and couldn't find a job in Atlanta, and Charlotte was too close. Dallas, they wasn't really paying enough, so I actually got hired again on the spot for a real estate company here in DC, and I just picked up and moved to DC.
Really?
But it was to expand like the Posh Standard brand, which at the time was just a blog.
Okay. So when you moved to DC, you're in real estate. Your major was what? Your major was you said
Pre-law, paralegal studies.
Okay, so why did you get into real estate?
I was just trying to get a job. So that was like the first thing that picked me up and moved me here. I didn't want to go to law school. It took too long to get through regular school. So I was school out. So I was just trying to shoot my shot again at any different job that would hire me on Indeed. So if this company turns out was paying enough, so that's why I ran with it. It turned out I was good at it, so I
Hmm.
stayed at it.
Okay. So if you're just tuning in, I'm talking to Donovan Woodberry, also known as Dark Skin Gatsby. You got to follow him and follow his pages on Instagram. He went from being homeless, and he'll talk about, suicidal, to building several viral brands. And I want to talk about his journey. I want to talk about his resilience, and I also want to talk about like what it took to get him to the other side, and why Black men don't deal with mental health issues, because it's important in our community. And I remember just talking to someone one time and said, "Have you ever thought about going to therapy?" And he said, "I'm not crazy." And so that stigma that's around Black men and mental health, there's some statistics. Let me see. Suicide is the third leading cause of death for Black males ages 15 to 24. So it's a very real thing. Black men's suicide rate is over 4 times higher than Black women. Between 2007 and 2020, suicide amongst Black youth rose by 144%. And in rural Georgia, 1 in 3 Black men ages 15 to 24 reported suicidal ideation in the past 2 weeks. So this is a very real thing, especially amongst Black men. Their suicide rates are higher, a lot of things going on, but they're not getting the help that they need at the rate that they need it. So I just wanted to kind of I wanted Donovan to tell his story, because it's real, and but it's also resilient, which that's what really inspired all of us when we listened to you at our mixer. So Donovan, so when you got to DC, tell us about that part.
Um, DC was kind of like a culture shock, but I wanted to create like my own lane and stuff because at that time, like I said, the Pot Standard was just a blog.
How old were you?
So
Right after college?
this was I was 27,
Okay.
27, 26, 27. I'm 34 now.
Okay.
So I noticed that it was a lot of people in the city. Like people was telling me the different places to go to like meet people. But I noticed it was all these dope people in the same city doing dope things, but nobody worked together. So I created this networking happy hour called DMV Overdressed. So you come, network, then turn up, but you be fly, like dressed to the nines.
Mm.
Um, that started like all my events, like people be dressed up. So that was like the first start of it. And it was those went well. We went from but now I'm like getting like crazy attention for the different things that we have going on. So when I moved to DC, I probably had like 15, 20,000 followers.
Wait, so
At this
before
point,
we go there, so you came to DC and you just hit the ground running and you just
yeah,
started.
yeah,
So what
yeah.
was the time span? So you go from homeless, passing out this is motivation, passing out your resume in the back of McDonald's windows, to sleeping on the park bench to working at McDonald's, and then going to Job Corps, going to college.
Well,
Move to
Job
DC.
Corps was before the McDonald's thing.
Okay, Job
So,
Corps, then McDonald's. So
so
how old were you
yeah,
when you worked at McDonald's?
that probably was 22.
Okay, so you was 22 when you worked at McDonald's, so you
Yeah,
went to school, and then you ended up in DC, and immediately you started doing these events.
yes.
How,
So,
how long after you moved to DC?
I was planning my first one on the road here. I didn't even have an apartment yet, which was crazy.
Were you doing
So
events in Louisville?
what you say?
Were
No,
you doing
I not for real, for real. Like I said, it was just a blog. So I was doing more modeling when I was in Louisville. So I guess an influencer before the word.
Yeah.
So like brands would send me products, I take pictures in them. But DC, I think I moved to DC in July. The June. I moved to DC in June, and the first event The first overdress was probably like in August, September. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Uh, so and that was sold out. It was a free event, but that was sold out. The
Yeah.
first one was sold out, and so I was like, this kind of dope. I'm gonna keep doing it. So I did that for like 2 years or so. So like we had one somewhere everywhere in the city. Park, Ozios back then. It was this cigar lounge, It's Hell. Um, and we kept it going. So then it was this local event curator, DC Now Events. They had this thing called the All Purple Gala, and they honored me for the different things that I had going on. And I was like, this is cool. I feel like I could do something like this. I could have my own spin to it. So at the time, this they honored me in what 2018, 2019, and at the time I had a friend, she's a graduate from UDC, Brittany Flowers. She was battling cancer at the time, and she had like this GoFundMe up. So I hit her up and was like, what if I had like a gala or something? We could have like 50 or so people, and some of the proceeds can go to you. She was like, that's fine. And we in constant communication with everything that she had going on. But then COVID happened. So COVID happened, and I kept having to postpone it and postpone it and postpone it. And unfortunately, she lost her battle to cancer. She passed away during that time frame.
Wow.
So like in 2021, probably like January 2021, I was like, dang, I want to still have this event, and I still want to honor her. So I feel like I can turn her name into a scholarship, which I did. And but I wonder will people even come to this event, because I was talking to different event curators in the city that I've worked with when I was, because I worked as a promoter too. So I was learning how to host my own events and how to get better at it. And she, well, I was like, let me try it. So I hit them up to try to get information. Everybody was like, "Ain't nobody gonna pay that," because what people don't know is everybody want to come to these nice events, but it costs a lot of money to have these nice events. If you want to come to the event for food, at base level, food is $35 a person.
Right.
Then you want free drinks. You want open bar. That's another $40 a person. So we not 75, $80, and we don't have no money in the event. So I was like, I'm gonna price the tickets at $100, and everybody, all the curators that I hit up, was like, nobody's gonna pay for that. I was like, all right, let's
But
see.
you wasn't making no money at $100.
No, so I was like, let me see, and then I'm good at wording, so I put a post up. Would y'all come to the? Because it's called the Black Excellence Gala. Would y'all come to the Black Excellence Gala? We have this going on, and but in order to buy tickets, you have to sign up for our email and text blast. And within like maybe like a few weeks, we had probably like 4,000 people signed up. So I was like, oh shoot, now I got to have this event. And DC didn't open up until the last minute, so we operating at like 10% in the city. I was like, what place is gonna let me have 50 people right now with COVID and stuff going on? And I eventually found the first one was at a nightclub, Abigail's nightclub, and by the time tickets dropped, we probably had an email list of probably like 30,000 people who wants to come to the event. So then when I finally dropped the event, and this was like April, I've dropped the event, and we can only have 50 tickets, because even though the place hold 450 people, we can only have
For
50
something
tickets. So they was like, all right, do 50. Them joints sold out in like 3 days.
wow.
And so they kept piecemealing me because DC kept opening up. So, but eventually, DC opened up like just before, maybe like 2 weeks before the event at like 100%. So I sold out. It was 450 people there. So with that, with the proceeds, I fed the homeless at Union Station. So I try to do that with most of my events. Feed the homeless at Union Station. I donated to My Sister Place. If you don't know what My Sister Place is, My Sister Place provides homes for women transitioning out of domestic violent relationships. And I also created the Brittany Flowers grant, the Brittany Flowers scholarship uh, under my company's name at the time. It wasn't a nonprofit yet, and it was so dope. I was like, let's keep it going. And so we went from DC to Atlanta to Houston, Houston to Charlotte, and